Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Back after a little break. A little sick. Still dealing with some stuff, so excuse me if I have to clear my throat a little bit extra, but here we are. Turbines are done and they look fantastic. Today I'm basically going to walk you guys through not every single unit, but just we'll probably just go through what I've done on number 6, and that's basically what I've done to every single one. Biggest, most time-consuming part of this project was taking care of all the little flaws in the paint from the factory. As we know, a lot of these manufacturers don't always catch everything on quality control, or they just don't really have the best of quality control. So especially with these being, you know, the museum quality, you kind of expect them to be a certain standard. And straight out of the box, these are fantastic units. Not too much to complain about, but there definitely is room for improvement for somebody who's very picky like me. And that's kind of what took me so long on these, because I was extremely picky. But I wanted my units to be pretty much top shelf and as good as they could be. So definitely the most time consuming and kind of frustrating part was just taking care of all the little flaws in the paint here and there. If there was chips, fades in the paint, areas where paint might have been missed, stuff like that. Basically taking a lot of time. I think I took a total of 2 weeks, multiple hours every setting, and just basically going over every single unit individually with a fine-tooth comb, finding areas where there was a paint issue, taking a little piece of tape, putting it by that area, and we'll kind of go through a couple rounds of that, go through the A units, go through the B units, the tenders, and then kind of go back to the A units, look at them really intensely, and it takes a lot of time to do that. So being picky and doing work like that can kind of drive you mad if you let it, because there's always stuff that can be better, but at a certain point you do have to call it good enough. So that's kind of what I did after two straight weeks. Couldn't really find any more minor or major issues with the paint after doing a lot of little touch-ups and stuff like that. So definitely a big time eater there. You guys can now see the horns on these units. They're all painted red and silver. That's something that Union Pacific did, not on every unit, and especially not on these units, but it's something they did in the past to a few select horns, and I always like that. I've talked about this in the past. It's something that I really like, especially on anything that has green nose and silver trucks. Very classy paint scheme, very timeless, and I kind of like to have the silver horns with the red throats on units that are these colors, or that are this era of paint. So those all got upgraded. And of course, another kind of factory flaw is some of these horns kind of come bent up pretty decent. Not all of them are sitting very straight, so we take some time with each unit to go through all the horns, make sure the bells are all straight, make sure the horns are as straight as I can get them, and then do the paint work. So not a huge time-consuming thing, but just something I personally like to do to my units. Like I said, that's nothing that they did in real life to these, but anything that I have that is in this paint scheme, I prefer to do those horns on. At the end of the day, these are my units. Whether it's prototypically correct or not, I am going to do what I want to do. Within reason, though, you know, I want to keep the classy look, and I feel like those horns really do add some class. You guys can see I've got weathered couplers on the front. Yes, these are not the correct couplers, but they're as close as I can get. The original units do not have a double shelf. These are a double shelf coupler. I can't really find a KD single shelf, so for now these are fine. I like how they look on there. And something you guys might notice is all of the cables. So each one of these units kind of comes with a bag of what I think is spare parts, like spare cables, but it's actually enough cables to outfit your B unit with them. And the thing with these is, if you're going to have it on a layout for a really long time, if you're going to have it set up on a shelf for a really long time, then it's worth it to take the time to try to connect the cables from the A unit to the B unit. And that's not a task that's easily done either, because these are very small. You need the right type of tweezers that can grip these and hold them. And for me, these are going to be moving around a lot because currently I do not have a layout. And if I'm running them on somebody else's layout, that's a lot of on and off. Or if I'm just, like right now, working on them or showing them off in a YouTube video, takes quite a bit to undo all that. So what I opted to do was put all the cables that are on the A unit, put them on the B unit, and then when they're connected, that kind of gives the illusion that there are cables actually connected between them. Yes, it might look a little busy, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it looks way better than not having any cables connected to the B unit. At least now, it kind of looks like they are kind of wired up. And I can show you guys right here. I can just uncouple that. And now, I don't have to spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes trying to disconnect little teeny hoses. And I still get the look that that the A unit and B unit are properly mated to each other. So that was kind of something I figured I wanted to do, just to kind of enhance the overall look. And it's something that you can do to yours. If you're not a fan of how it looks with just the A unit with all the cables hanging off, and you really don't have the time to have these together long enough to necessitate properly connecting them, this is a great route to go, in my opinion. I think it looks really nice. Like I said, it gives the illusion that there are connected cables between the A unit and B unit. And if you're okay with it looking just a little bit busy, it's a pretty good route to go. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. And it adds some more detail. It makes them look just a little bit better. And it's really easy from a operator standpoint if I need to separate something or put something away. Transport them quick and fast. I don't have to worry about disconnecting and dealing with all of those cables. So that was something that I decided to do kind of late in the game on these. I was pretty much done with all of the major work, and then just having them sit here, I kind of thought to myself, well, I want to do something a little bit better for the cable, for how the cables look. So like I said, luckily, I think they include them on the, or no, they wouldn't include them on the, I think they include like the radiator hoses on the rivet counter ones, but you don't get all of these because it's like just plastic inserts and stuff that kind of fill those holes. And then even these open plugs are, the caps on those are closed. So rivet counter you can't really do that with, but these museum quality ones you can, so that's kind of nice. So that was something that we took care of. Something else that I kind of like doing to my fancier stuff is any red detail, so like the fuel cap plug cover there, and then plug covers on the back. You guys can see those are a really nice, bright, shiny red. I like painting out little details like that in a gloss red. Same gloss red that I'm using on the horns. So every unit, all the plug covers got a nice red. The fuel caps, oops, the fuel caps all got that nice red. Any plug covers on the tank, got them. Sorry for my ratty hoodie here. Plug covers on the tenders. Those got painted that nice red. I just like stuff like that to stand out a little bit more. The stuff's already painted red. That's not something that you absolutely have to do. That's just something that I prefer to do. When I'm detailing this stuff, I like to really make the little things kind of pop out. And you guys will see I have not weathered but painted shelf couplers in between the units, but at the ends, so like at the front end and at the tail end, I have properly weathered couplers, just because those are the ones that are going to stand out. These ones kind of get lost in the middle, and of course they're going to have like soot and oil and grease on them, so they're not going to be quite as rusty. So I kind of went that route, and they still look really good in my opinion. Something I kind of took some time to take care of that you guys can't really see too well on camera here. The pass-through here for the air intake. There was a little bit of cable management issues on a couple of these, not all of them, but some of them you could see just a little bit of a wire showing through, so took some time to reroute the cables, and like I said, that's not an issue on every unit that I had here. It was just a couple of them. Most of them were routed properly, but there's definitely some inconsistencies with various employees of their factory putting this stuff together, kind of doing things a little different. So that was something that we took care of while I had everything apart. And then a lot of the cool work went on with the B units here. So you guys can see we have the, they have their own cables now. It looks way better when everything is connected. But the real magic is what I did on the inside here. So we'll slide the doors open. I did some work to make the doors slide a little bit better. There is some, it's kind of like some overcast on the back of these doors from where they break off from the molds. And some of that can kind of bind up your doors. So now, what all do I have going on here? Well, you guys look in there and all you see is either dark gray or silver. We don't see any goofy colors anymore, and we don't have multicolored wires are really drawing our eye away from the detail. And I think I showed this in my last update of what I actually had going on before everything was painted. I have some U-channel here. You guys can actually see my finger kind of shining off of it. Some U-channel right here that is hiding wires that run underneath there. That was a really kind of an eyesore. When you would open up the door, you expect to just see these awesome silver components of the turbine, and then you're greeted with like a black piece of tape and a bunch of multicolored wires. So took some U-channel in there, cut it, fit it, paint it in place, and now those wires are gone. And you guys will see one area right here. There is some wires that really aren't able to be hidden with how this is going right here. That's kind of the air intake right here. Not really a lot that you can do with these wires unless you like really start cutting stuff away to tuck them into other places. So what I opted to do, and I think I talked about this in the last video, what I opted to do was paint some of them silver. So for those of you who know kind of like how large machinery is, you know, a lot of pre-built stuff and then painted after the fact. So you get like electrical cables that are, you know, permanently mounted basically, and then they're painted with the machine. It's basically what I try to do with these, and you guys can see my finger shining off of those. So the only little bit of exposed wiring that I couldn't really do anything with got painted silver. So now it looks like it is just large electrical cables that were part of the turbine, and they were painted when the turbine itself was painted silver. So kind of my way to trick the eye on that one. Like I said, there really wasn't any good way to route these wires. Would have taken a lot of cutting and kind of destroying a couple parts, and I just saw the better route of leaving them exposed and just painting them, and it kind of looks like they're just painted parts of the turbine, like they're just, you know, some type of electrical cable for the turbine that was there when everything was painted. So it's kind of my little trick or hack to get around that. Didn't have to worry about too much in the generator area here. That's what this component is right here, is one of the dual generators. The other spot that was a big issue was right here in this door, and you guys can actually see when I get my finger next to it, it kind of shines up there. That silver cylinder right there, that is actually a capacitor, and there's two of them. There's one on each side, and you guys can kind of see my finger through the vent on the door on the other side. So when you slide that other door open, you could see the other capacitor. That really annoyed me because those capacitors were wrapped in a kind of a bright green case and had the capacitor information on them. And I think I might actually have a board. And I think I've showed you guys before, but that's what those capacitors look like right there. They have a green wrap, and then they have the information on them about the capacitor. And that's what you would see when you open up that door, is those large green capacitors, and they just didn't really look good. When you open the door, it really didn't look that good in there to see actual electrical components for the locomotive itself. So, you know, of course, there's literally no way of hiding those. They're a purpose part of the board that's tucked up in here. So the easiest and best option was to paint them silver, disguise them as some type of a tank or some type of a cylinder, you know, whatever you want to call it. But now those are painted silver, and they blend in with everything a lot better. If you kind of take a look at everything, that looks 100 times better than just a stock one. And it's really not that hard to do. I kind of hope I showed it pretty good while everything was apart in my previous videos on that stuff. But if you're really looking to enhance what these units look like when you open the doors, really simple stuff like that. If you have some U-channel, you have some silver paint, and some patience. It's really all you need to do that, and it really does make a huge difference. You look in there from every angle, and yes, it is kind of a hard area to see anyway without shining light in there. But you look in there and everything just looks like it belongs. Nothing looks out of place anymore, and I'm happy with that. I really like how these turned out, and I think that was a huge upgrade for the units overall. With everything that I did, at first I wasn't really going to mess with this area, and then mostly because I didn't think I had any U-channel, so I was just going to revisit that later on. But luckily I was able to find some U-channel that I actually had. So everything looks really good. Like I said, disguising those capacitors, kind of painting these wires, and then hiding these wires. Just those three things really changed the outlook, or just how everything looks on this now when you have these doors open. So I'm really happy with that. I love how that looks now. You know, I can actually take these places, open the doors, and I'm proud to show what's in there. It's not just like, oh, hey, there's some electrical stuff for the locomotive, and then there's this cool mold of the turbine, but, you know, look at all that electrical for the locomotive itself. So that stuff's really awesome. Something I didn't really bother with was painting the panel, and you can't even really, you can kind of see it if you get close up in there. You guys can see the electrical panel up top there, but realistically, you're not going to have the unit at that angle. You're going to have it like this, or you're going to be looking down on it. But even dead level with it, that's as level as I can get you guys with it. It looks fantastic, and I'm really happy with how all that little work came out. Like I said, super simple, and it makes a huge difference. So I would suggest, if you're not a fan of seeing the wires and seeing the capacitors, just do some simple work like that. Really easy, and it looks awesome. So that was a really nice part of the project there, to kind of get all that stuff taken care of. Really didn't take me much time. It took me a little bit of time just because I had 5 units worth of that to do. But if you have 1 or 2 units, you could easily get that done in a day. Less than a day even. Let's see. Same thing on the back here. Painted the plug covers with that nice red. Something else I took some time to do was re-tip all of the MU hoses and the air hoses. The glad hands kind of touched those up with some silver paint. Some of those were kind of chipped, so we took care of that. But yeah, that was really it, guys. Just a lot of little work. I did not paint the wheels on these. I think I talked about this before in a past video. I've kind of gone away from painted wheels. Yes, it makes the unit look just that much more realistic, but at the same time, that paint kind of gathers dust and dirt quicker than just a clean, unpainted wheel. And nowadays, they kind of they use that like darker metal for the wheels too, so they don't stand out quite so bad. So I kind of got away from that, but everything else, I'm still keeping with pretty tight, making sure everything's looking really good. And yeah, it was just, the biggest thing was, you know, doing everything I did to one unit, you could probably do on a weekend. But having 5 of them and being as picky as I was, this turned out to be like, I think over a month, or about a month, probably over a month maybe, worth of work. Granted, most of this was done just a couple hours after work every night. Sometimes I had some time on the weekends, but it's around the holidays, so that's kind of taking some time. So just a larger scope than what I kind of expected. When I got all of these together and kind of was coming up with a game plan, really it was just going to be doing the couplers, the horns, and a couple little things. I did not plan on doing the cables on the B units. I didn't plan on doing the work in here. So that was stuff that kind of added some time. And then going through each unit with, like I said, a real fine-tooth comb, just going over every square inch and every detail to make sure the paint is as perfect as I can get it. You know, they kind of advertised these as, you know, see the quality up close. They give you my magnifying glass with it, and they really want you to zoom in, and it's like, well, some spots really aren't worth zooming in on. So that's kind of what I wanted to make these as top tier as I could. So that's what we did. And and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with how everything turned out, and as far as I'm concerned, all these are ready to run. Let's see, something I can do and I can't do. I can get some sound for you guys. Number 18 is on my powered up track right now. I don't have enough leads for every track to get them all powered up at the same time. Might go deaf doing that. These are pretty loud. Maybe I can put maybe we can put number 6 on there. Get 2 of them fired up, maybe. Now, the problem is I don't have much room here, so I gotta make sure I don't really get them moving, because they're just gonna hit a dead end here pretty quick. But see, I love how that looks now, having the cables on both units. They actually look like they're connected. Well, we'll see if we can put them up there so both units are powered up. And these are museum quality. Sorry if you can't really hear me too well. So they have like the step lights, the cab lights come on, and then once the units come up to power, then they shut off. I don't know, you guys can kind of see the gauge cluster in there lit up. That's pretty cool. Something I don't think I'm going to be able to really show that well is the turbine itself spinning. Because that's like way down there. But yeah, they're loud. Like I said, I don't know how well you guys can hear me now, but these are just the stock speakers. Yes, there are better speakers that you can put in these units. I don't have them right now, so that'll be an upgrade that I can do later on. Right now, I'm pretty happy with how the stock speakers are. Might not be the greatest, but for me, I'm pretty happy with that. Get some light on. I really don't know if I can get down in there to show you guys. Maybe if I take this tender out of here. So don't know if I'll be able to focus on it, but you guys can kind of see some rotation down in there. It's going to be hard to focus on just because those braces are in the way. Oh, there we go. That's not too bad. So I'll hold that there, and then I'll cut power. All right. So I'm going to start this back up. Let me see if I can like really get you guys in there. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna power these back up, and then you guys will see the startup of those turbine blades. There you go. That's pretty cool. Something that's kind of hard to show on camera because it's such a tight area, but that gives you guys a view of the turbine blades spinning. Yeah, we'll shut those off because that is very loud. Just two of them is very loud. I will find a time to have all 5 powered up at the same time and really hurt my ears. I'm basically half deaf from like years of working on the railroad without earplugs. Me just not liking earplugs. Poor decision. Don't do that if you're currently working for a railroad, or if you want to work for a railroad, wear earplugs. Hearing is pretty important, but even for me being hard of hearing, these are very high pitched, and that kind of hits my range of what I can hear pretty good, and it's loud. So these are definitely loud, but they're so cool, and I love them. So that's it, guys. A lot of work, a lot of time-consuming, little teeny tedious work to get these up to par, but I'm really happy with how they look now. Truly happy with how they look inside and out. They're fantastic units. Like I said, I'm not at all. Am I not at all bashing Scaletrains? They did an amazing job on these for these being a plastic model. Prior to them creating these, the only way to get these units was in brass, and at a much higher price. So these are a really cool, unique thing. It is sad that they are working on retiring them. There isn't many left on their website, so I would strongly suggest, if you have the money and you want to get one of these museum quality ones, that's all they have available. The rivet counters are all sold out, retired. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys can find stuff on eBay and other hobby dealers online that deal with Scaletrains. I'm just saying, on their website, things are kind of getting slim pickings for the turbines. So, sadly, one day these are going to be a thing that you just can't get anymore easily or as cheap. Not that these are cheap, but, you know, they're going to get more expensive the harder they get to find. So, they're an awesome thing to have. I love them. Great detail. Like I said, there's just some things that can be refined a little bit. And like I've said many times, I am extremely picky with this stuff. I like my stuff to look a certain way. I like a certain level of detail, and especially on these. These are the museum quality ones. I want these to truly look museum quality. So I took a lot of extra time and care into fixing up some things that I thought could have been better. So hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed this whole journey on working on these. You guys will see these again on my channel. Hopefully sometime in the next couple months or something, I can get them to a layout and actually get some shots of them running. So that'll be cool. And that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the whole turbine series here. Not sure what I'm going to work on next, but I can guarantee you whatever I pull out next is going to be cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this series, and on to the next. And thanks for all the support. Until next time, take care.